Hi students, welcome back to Meet the Masters. We are in a brand new month and we have a brand new artist named Vincent Van Gogh. You've probably heard of him. He is one of the most famous artists of all time and is widely beloved around the world. So Van Gogh, just like our artist last month, who was Piet Mondrian, was also born in the Netherlands. And this is the home that he was born into. Now, he had a family of a father who was a minister and a mother who was an amateur artist. And she would buy her children artist pads so that the children could sketch and practice their art. Now, Van Gogh had 2 brothers and 3 sisters, but he was the very closest with his brother Theo. This is a picture of Theo, and further over is a picture of Vincent. We know most of what we know of Vincent's life is from the letters that he would write to Theo. And we know a lot about what Vincent was thinking when he made his paintings because Theo kept the letters. Now they were very close, and when Theo and his wife had their first son, they named him Vincent. And Vincent was so pleased that he painted this. This was for the baby, and it's called The Almond Blossoms, and it's one of his most famous paintings. Now, he took some lessons in the Netherlands and trained a little bit, and we see some of the art that he painted and sketched from the Netherlands. You'll notice that these paintings are a little bit darker in color, and they don't have the same brightness that his paintings will come to have later on in his life. For a while, Vincent decided to be a minister like his dad, but that didn't really work out. So after he tried that, then he went back to being an artist himself. There we go, one more. Now, like most artists, he moved to Paris, where he was around other influences, where he was exposed to Japanese art, and you can see the influences from the Japanese art in these Van Gogh paintings. Here you can see almost like it looks like Mount Fuji back there, and then you can also see over here is a windmill, which would have been in the Montmartre district of Paris, which is where he lived with his brother Theo. Now, after a while of living in Paris, he did not have such a healthy lifestyle. He was drinking a lot of alcohol and smoking a lot of cigarettes, and he became very unhealthy. So they suggested that he move down to the south of France, where it's warmer and he could have better weather throughout the year and be healthier. So he moved down to Arles, and this is the house that he stayed in. This is called the Yellow House, and this is his painting of it. And now we're starting to see some of the brighter colors that he used in his paintings. This is of his room in Arles. This is also a very famous painting, and you'll notice that he has his signature yellow in abundance in this picture all over the place. This is the Cafe Terrace at night and was also painted in Arles, and you can see the bright colors. You can also see the stars in the sky that will come into play in some of his other paintings. Now, when he was in Arles, his mental health started to decline, and so he needed some help, and so he went to the hospital for a while. And this is a painting of the hospital in Arles, the courtyard, and you'll notice that this is so different from his paintings in the Netherlands. There's those pops of yellow, there's lots of texture, there's lots of movement in his brush strokes, and his paintings seem to really come alive when he moved down to the south of France. Now, this one also shows the movement that he used. You can see the brush strokes in his jacket moving up and down. This is a famous painting lots of people like to talk about. It's a self-portrait that he painted after he cut off part of his ear. He had a big fight with one of his friends who was also an artist called Paul Gauguin, and they had a falling out. Paul Gauguin came down to the south of France. They got into a big fight. He left, and Van Gogh cut off part of his ear. Now this is one of his masterpieces. This is Starry Night, and this is a painting that he painted also in the south of France, but in Saint Remy, when he was also receiving some medical care for his mental health. And you'll notice that it's a night sky with swirling clouds and bright shining stars. There's a moon. There's a cypress tree, there's a little village in the forefront and some hills coming in the back. Now what Van Gogh is really known for is the texture in his art. Whoops. This is zoomed in on that last picture, and if you look close you can really see a lot of texture. Texture is the way something feels. Now we can touch something and feel it, or we can also see with our eyes that the texture could be bumpy or rough or smooth. So there's visual texture where we see it with our eyes, and there's touch texture where we can feel it with our hands or some part of our body and feel how the texture is on the subject. So here, if you look close, you can see that his paintings had a lot of texture. And the way that he did that was by using the impasto technique. That just means he used so much paint that on his paintings, if you were to go and touch them, it would be bumpy right here and rough, because he used so much paint that it was actually 3D. It actually came off the paper. Okay, so he used a lot of texture that way. He also used a lot of, he made visual texture just by the brush strokes and how he would make them kind of wave instead of having straight lines. That's how he achieved that sky that looked like it was moving in the last one. Now this is a sketch that he did after painting Starry Night, and I thought this was interesting because you can see without the paint, you can see all of the lines and the strokes and the way that they are going, flowing in waves and looping around and swirling. Even the cypress tree you can see moving up in waves. Not a lot of straight lines, and that was really helped make his paintings have a lot of movement, which is also what he was known for. Here again, you can also see a lot of texture in this painting. You can see the short lines in the sky with lots of paint using that impasto method, and you can kind of see it makes it so that the water, there's the river right there, has a kind of a shine and almost a little sparkle movement to it. Now in this picture, there's a lot of movement through the lines. The trees and that tree trunk don't run straight up and down. They kind of wind and curve, even up in his leaves. And I love this cloud, the sky. It's very similar to the Starry Night picture where it swirls and curves. And it almost seems like this picture is also having some movement to it, and it's not really stagnant or rigid. Okay, it's time for our famous quiz. Now, question number 1. Who did Vincent Van Gogh have a close relationship with? Was it A, his cat Leonard, B, his father, or C, his brother Theo? I don't know if he had a cat, but he was extremely close with his brother Theo. So if you said C, good job, you got it. Okay, question number 2. What is texture? A, it's how something feels either by touching it or by seeing it. B, the words written in a book. Or C, a new dance on TikTok. Right, it is A, how something feels either by touch or by sight. Okay, last question. How did Van Gogh create texture in his paintings? A, by spinning around while painting. B, with brush strokes and impasto technique. Or C, by letting his cat Leonard walk on the wet painting. Right, you guys got it. It was B, by using the brush strokes that curved and swirled and the impasto technique with lots and lots of paint that created those 3D textures and a lot of interest and movement in his paintings. So that's a short introduction to our artist Vincent Van Gogh. I hope you learned a little something. I have a really fun project to do with you guys, and I can't wait to see you. And we will have a great time. Thanks for watching.